Any time now, the written proposal from the centre to end the deadlock with the protesting farmers will reach the farmer unions. This after the crucial meet between Home Minister Amit Shah and 13 farmer leaders last evening. That meeting was inconclusive, with the government remaining firm on its stand not to roll back or repeal the farm laws. At the meeting, Amit Shah did request farmer leaders to end their agitation and said that the government will send across a proposal of concessions in writing. The farmer union leaders questioned the centre, asking why they were not consulted before these reforms were actually brought about. While some farmers are adamant on a complete repeal of the law, some are in favour of amendments and then thereby calling off their protest once these amendments come through. The government any time now, their scheduled time was 11 a.m. They'll be sending across a proposal to the farmers with likely assurances on APMC and MSP. Farmer leaders are meeting at 12 p.m. today at the Singhu border to discuss the centre's proposal. Sources say that the centre told farmers that about 2 to 3 amendments will be added depending on how things really move forward with regards to the dialogue between the protesting farmers and the government. The government so far, with regards to the dialogue with farm leaders, it's happened 5 times in the last 3 months. However, there's been no headway that's been achieved till now.
यस नो से आप आगे बढ़े हैं या यस नो पर ही मामला अभी भी टिका हुआ है?
यस नो से आगे तो बढ़ के अमित शाह से बात हुई, उनसे बात यस नो के बाद तो वहां से शुरुआत हुई ना, फिर एक पायदान ऊपर चले तो फिर बातचीत शुरू हुई।
यस नो तो कृषि बिल को वापस लेने पर था,
बातचीत भी तो करनी थी ना। फिर भाई कोई आवे बात करे, यस नो से आगे बढ़े तो एक पायदान सरकार जहां है वहां तक एक सीढ़ी और ऊपर गए हैं हम।
तो आप ऊपर गए हैं, सरकार भी ऊपर गई है, कहाँ मामला अभी कहाँ है? आज की तारीख में अगर हम बात करें तो
तारीख में एक लिखित पढ़त में एक अहम दस्तावेज सरकार की तरफ से आएगा, एक जो प्रस्ताव है उनका वो आएगा। हमने कहा कि आप लिखित में दो जो आप चाहते हो, क्या आप करना चाहते हो, क्या सरकार की मंशा है, तो आएगा देंगे।
अलग अलग किसान यूनियन है, आप थोड़े सॉफ्ट लग रहे हैं, कई सारे लोग अभी अपना रुख सख्त किए हुए हैं, तो एक किसान की एक बात होगी, इसको कैसे सुनिश्चित किया जाए?
हाँ, तो हिंदुस्तान इतना बड़ा है तो अलग अलग भाषाएं हैं यहाँ पे, अलग अलग विचारधारा है, नरम दल भी है, गरम दल भी है, क्रांतिकारी दल भी है, सारे दल हैं, तो इनको सबको बैलेंस करके चलना पड़ा।
We have told that you give in writing, we'll look into it. Today our meeting is there. Our position is very clear. If they give in writing regarding the repeal of the bill, only we can take note of that and consider. It is the situation going on, but we do not know what they will write.
मीटिंग होना था सरकार के साथ, उसमें एक ही एजेंडा था, जैस या नो। किसानों ने बोला था कि जैस या नो कर दो हमारे को, फिर हम अपनी रणनीति आगे बढ़ाएं। तो आज भी कुछ होने वाला नहीं है, कुछ निकलने वाला नहीं है। अगर सरकार अच्छी होगी, सर देश का भला चाहेगी, देश के लोगों को सुखी रखने की बात करेगी, तो जैस कर देना चाहिए। अगर कारपोरेट घराने अडानियां बडानियां के हक च खलोना है, तो जो देश का 330 करोड़ लोग हैं उनको मारना है, करना है, तो वो सरकार की मंशा है।
All eyes now are on the farmer unions. Will they relent? Will they give in to amendments and then end their protest? Or are they going to dig in their heels with regards to seeking a complete rollback? Anisha Mathur is getting us the latest on that from the Singhu border. To also get you the strategy of the government, Kamaljeet Sandhu is joining us live from outside Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar's residence. Anisha, to you first. 11 a.m. is when we were expecting that written proposal from the centre to officially reach the farmer union leaders. The meeting is at 12 p.m. Is there any chance really of the farmer unions relenting? Because there is some reports suggesting that there is a divide. Some unions are willing to give in to just amendments.
Well, Akshita, at this moment, the farmer union leaders are waiting for what the government is going to propose. But there is a cynicism that is setting in here among the farmers who've been protesting here for 14 days. Remember, there have already been 5 meetings. Yesterday's meeting with Amit Shah also came out inconclusive. What the farmers are saying that they are not okay with just partial amendments. They want a rollback of the bill. And it is not just the farmers who've come here. We've seen for the last 14 days, people have been coming in. More and more people are coming in. And I'm going to ask my camera person to pan around a little and show you Political groups have also come in. People have come in to support the farmers. Slogans are being shouted here at Singhu border, and we're also speaking to some of the other people who've come in. We have with us the leader of one of the transport unions from Punjab. Uncle ji, आप लोग भी यहाँ पर आए हुए हैं. क्या आप लोग को एक्सपेक्टेशन है, क्या उम्मीद है आज के जो प्रपोजल आएगा सरकार का उससे?
मेरा नाम बलदेव सिंह ਬੱਬੂ, मिनी बस ਤੇ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਬੱਸਾਂ ट्रांसपोर्ट सैल ਦਾ मैं प्रधान ਹਾਂ। ਅਸੀਂ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਜ਼ਿਲ੍ਹਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਪੂਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਮਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਤੇ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਭਰ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਆ। ਜਿਹੜੀ ਅੱਜ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗਾ ਸੀ ਅਮਿਤ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਉਣਾ। ਮੈਂ ਦੱਸਣਾ ਚਾਹਣਾ ਆਪਣੀ ਯੂਨੀਅਨ ਵੱਲੋਂ, ਅਮਿਤ ਸ਼ਾਹ ਜੀ, ਨਰਿੰਦਰ ਮੋਦੀ ਜੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਾ ਆਏ। ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਢੀਕਾਂਗੇ ਪੂਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਾਲ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਆ। ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਮਿੰਨੀਆਂ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਤੇ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਬੱਸਾਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਸਮੇਤ ਥੋੜੇ ਦਿਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੱਜ ਦਾ ਐਲਾਨ ਵੇਖਾਂਗੇ। ਜੋ ਸਾਡੀ ਯੂਨੀਅਨ, ਕਿਸਾਨ ਯੂਨੀਅਨ ਦੇ ਆਗੂ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਨ, ਸਾਡੀ ਯੂਨੀਅਨ ਦੇ ਆਗੂ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੱਗੇ ਨੇ ਅੱਗੇ, ਜੋ ਹੋਕਾ ਦੇਣਗੇ ਉਹਦੇ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਰਿਵਾਰਾਂ ਸਮੇਤ ਪੂਰੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀਆਂ।
ਉਮੀਦ ਕੀ ਹੈ ਆਪਕੀ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਸੇ? ਅੱਜ ਉਹ ਪੁੱਛ ਰਿਹਾ।
ਅੱਜ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਉਮੀਦ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੋਦੀ ਸਰਕਾਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਗਾੜੀ ਗੋਡੇ ਟੇਕੇਗਾ। ਉਹਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਗਿਆ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੇ ਨਾ, ਜੋ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਰਕੇ ਵਿਖਾਇਆ, ਇਹਨੂੰ ਨਿਉਣਾ ਪਵੇਗਾ, ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਮੰਗੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਵਾਨ ਕਰੇਗਾ
ਜੀ। As you can see, Akshita, these people here are very clear. They are not ready to relent. It is now going to depend, a lot is going to depend on what the proposal from the government is going to be. Remember, yesterday the government has said, and for the last several days they have been saying that they could possibly give a guarantee of an MSP. They could possibly give a proposal for amendment to some of the sections of the act. They could possibly give some tax level playing field at the APMCs. But even with all of that, the farmers here are very clear, the people here are very clear. They want a complete rollback because they have found several lacunae, several loopholes in the law, and they're saying if the government can concede that there are errors in the law, then why aren't they rolling it back? So a lot depends on the proposal that comes in now from the government.
And let's explore that. Anisha, request you to stay on with me. Let me break down now what's expected in the proposal from the centre to the protesting farmers. One is written assurance that minimum support price is here to stay, that it is not being done away with. The other issue with regards to APMC Mondays, it's likely that the centre in the proposal will highlight that the APMC system and Mondays will be retained. There's no question of doing away with that either. Now, tax parity is another point that the centre could touch upon, ensuring equal taxes for APMC as well as private mandis. Now, the centre could also say that they are open to bolstering the mandi system and thereby reassure farmers that there is no question of getting rid of APMC mandis. The government will also focus on allaying fears with regards to the role of corporates, because several farmers have said that they are worried that corporates will acquire land from small farmers. So that is something the centre will focus on. Besides that, there's also the issue of legal avenues, and legal avenues for corporate farming disputes is something that the centre could make amendments over. What's very, very clear, however, is that all of these amendments is something the centre could touch up on. But there is no question of a rollback, no question of repealing the farm laws. That's where the centre draws the line. So let's also tell you really about how there's a lot of political pressure on the centre. The farmers are continuing their protest. Kamaljeet Sandhu is joining us live from outside the Agriculture Minister Narendra Singh Tomar's residence. Kamaljeet, if nothing really comes of this particular meeting of the farmer unions, if they refuse to relent, is there any chance at all that the centre could consider repealing the farm laws?
Well, they're willing to make certain concession, but remember, we're looking at a deadlock. Now, government could be looking at two scenarios. One is that they enter into negotiation. Remember, day 6, at least round 6 of negotiation was to take place in Vigyan Bhavan today. That's not happening because Amit Shah yesterday met along with Narendra Singh Tomar, the farmer leaders, and 13 of them, and it was decided that the meeting will take place at a neutral background, and there they put pressure. And remember, the centre realizes very well the ball is very much in their court. They are the one who needs to really come up with a solution. But what is important is that certain farmer leaders, especially most of them, are not willing to relent. They want nothing but repealing of the laws. This is something which the government is not agreeing upon, because remember, they feel that these are reforms which were much required. But the other scenario is what sort of a concession are they really willing to give? Because the ideal situation is if the farmers and the government reach a middle ground, which doesn't seem to be taking place at this point of time. Much will depend on what the written proposal is, because remember, these 13 farmer leaders have already talked to Amit Shah. He's supposed to be a spin doctor, he's supposed to be a political mastermind, but this is going to be a tough challenge. There are thousands of farmers who have dug in their heels. They're at certain border points all around Delhi. So yes, that is the situation which needs to be resolved, and centre realizes that. Backing these are the other associations, also 18 political parties. At least 5 of those particular leaders will now today meet President Ramnath Kovind, and they will advise him to reach out to the government and tell them to repeal these particular laws, because they are not in the interest of the farmers.
Just a question to stay on with us. That's a point that I want to touch up on with regards to how the opposition also is upping the ante over the 3 farm laws. As Kamaljeet told you, a delegation of 5 opposition leaders, including Rahul Gandhi, Sharad Pawar, Sitaram Yechury, they'll be meeting with President Ramnath Kovind at 5 p.m. today. Sources say that opposition leaders will tell President Kovind that they support the farmers' demand to repeal the laws, as it not only affects farmers but the entire agriculture and food security sector. Sources also added that the opposition will seek the president's intervention, ask him to convince the centre in not being rigid with regards to the issue of rolling back these laws. Before the meeting with the president, these opposition leaders will be holding a meeting amongst themselves as well. That's at 4 p.m. to discuss their strategy. The Modi government has responded to this by slamming the opposition for their alleged double standards with regards to these reforms. Referring to a 2010 letter, BJP has claimed that NCP chief Sharad Pawar had in fact written to states when he was the agriculture minister to amend the APMC Act to encourage participation of the private sector.
आनंद फानन में कानून बना दिए गए, अगर सेलेक्ट कमेटी भेज देते इसको, वहाँ भी मेजॉरिटी सत्तापक्ष की होती है, और मान लो तमाम लोग मिलके बातचीत करते, किसान नेताओं से बात करती कमेटी, उसके बाद में रिकमेंडेशन आती पार्लियामेंट के अंदर और फिर पास होता तो नौबत नहीं आती। अब भी सरकार को समझ लेना चाहिए कि किसानों की भावनाओं का सम्मान करे, उनको बुला के प्यार से बात करे और रास्ता निकाले जिससे कि वापस शांति कायम हो सके।
ये मिल तो अवश्य रहे हैं, लेकिन प्रयास तो यही होना चाहिए कि सरकार को ये क्वेश्चन करें, उनको परामर्श दें कि इसको पुनर्विचार करें। लेकिन सरकार जिस तरह से जिद पकड़े हुए है तो इसके क्या परिणाम निकलेंगे ये तो सरकार ही जाने।
More than 20 parties or even more have extended their support to the struggle of the Kisans. Because of the COVID restrictions and protocol, there is a restriction on the number of people that can meet Honorable President. So we've requested the Rashtrapati Bhavan to increase the number.
It's a good thing that the opposition are meeting the President on the farmers' bill. The farmers have been on an agitation this time for 13 days. Farmers want total withdrawal of the farm bills, which the government has not agreed to. So President is a higher court of appeal, so the opposition will go and meet the President.
वो सब इनका अधिकार है, वो सब इनका अधिकार है, और उस अधिकार के तहत राष्ट्रपति जी सबके राष्ट्रपति हैं, किसी सरकार या पार्टी के तो है नहीं, तो ये सब नियम अनुसार उनसे मिल सकते हैं। लेकिन मैं तो भगवान से प्रार्थना यही करती हूँ कि सबको सद्बुद्धि दे और अनैतिकता से नैतिकता का रास्ता दिखाए, और सब लोगों को नैतिकता के रास्ते पर चलते हुए देश हित में, किसानों के हित में जो जो नियम कानून बन रहे हैं उसका पालन करने की व्यवस्था बनाए।
Kamaljeet Sandhu is back with us for the latest updates on this. So Kamaljeet, the opposition leaders there upping the ante, they've decided now to take the fight to the president's door. We'll be meeting with him at 5 p.m. What's the government's response to this?
Well, in the past last few days, the government has tried to shift the blame for farmers' protest onto the political parties. They've also said that these are parties which have been opportunist. First of all, they came up with the 2010 letter blaming Sharad Pawar, saying he's the one who wanted these APMC amendments taking place. Then they also cornered the Kejriwal government, saying they're the first ones to implement the farm laws. So they are taking on the opposition parties. But remember, they are the government who is at the helm of affairs. Many opposition parties, and remember, Harsimrat Badal had resigned simply based on these farm laws. So government does realize it, but they're saying these are much required reforms which were required, but many felt they went in with a rush, not consulting the farmer leaders or a great segment of the farmers. And now there seems to be a problem because remember, there is no common ground, and that is where the government is now willing to reach out to farmer leaders. Rounds of negotiations have taken place, but there's no breakthrough. So the deadlock continues. Much will depend on the 11 o'clock situation, where the letter, the proposed suggestions will go from the government, to which so far the farmers have not willing to do. But if there is a division in their camp, that could be something that the government could be looking at. The other is the political scenario where they've reached out to President Ramnath Kovind. Right. But remember, this is going to be symbolic all the way. Farmers are saying their movement is apolitical, and it's the centre and the farmers who need to resolve the situation.
All right, Kamalji, thank you for joining us with those details. Again, 5 p.m. is when these opposition leaders, the likes of Rahul Gandhi, Sharad Pawar, will be meeting with President Ramnath Kovind.
Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.